Hey, we're back for another review of Ruthless, Season 4, Episode 10, entitled Tonight is the Night. In true late fashion, I did not get around to Episode 9, so I'll try to recap in the midst of the review. If not, it ain't that hard to follow. All right, let's jump right into it. The FBI people, they're on the way up to the compound because last episode, the sitting senator, his son is the new recruit, Mr. Aaron, who's married to the black girl. He is a senator's son, and the senator is concerned because he hasn't heard from him in a while, and his phone pinged up to the only tower that is in the area of the compound, so they think that he is there. And the sheriff tells him, like, hey, if y'all take a whole bunch of people up there and storm the gates, you're gonna have a bunch of bodies on your hands, and that'll be on you, that'll be on your conscience. The sheriff offers to go up to the compound tomorrow because he's been drinking today. Which, sir, you are actively on duty. Why are you drunk? Why are you drunk? And why do you get the privilege to go home, drive home, sober up, and come back tomorrow? Your privilege is showing, but we're going to leave that alone. Anyway, the FBI agent tells the sheriff that Brian and his wife were found in their home, burned down, and, kind of asks him about Brian's state of mind the last time that he saw him. Now, the conversation ain't as docile as I'm giving it. My throat is just on fire, so I'm trying to give it to you giving you the best that I got. Anyway, but the sheriff had an attitude because he was like, listen, y'all come up here and y'all just think we some country hicks that don't know nothing. But what I'm telling you is that I'm sick of y'all being here. I'm sick of Brian. I'm sick of all that. And it's like, oh, so you sick of Brian? Well, do you know that Brian and his wife were found dead in his house? That's the energy that it was. And what do you know about Brian? What was his, state of mind before, he disappeared? And the sheriff appears to be shocked, at the information, and tells him, like, hey, I know him and his wife are having trouble, or whatever. And, the FBI is trying to be stealthy, trying to get more information. He's like, listen, I know what y'all doing. I'm not just no dumb country hick. Let's, not too much on me, basically. And then they eventually just all agreed to go up to the gates tomorrow. Agree, air quotes. But they all disperse, and the female agent, don't remember her name, she puts a trail on Mac because it seems as if Mac was on the sheriff's side. Like, he was very gung-ho about doing what the sheriff wanted to do to proceed. And that proved to be contradictory because the FBI is here on a different mission. When you and the sheriff become butt buddies and, something going on here, which we already know Mac is kind of in on the conspiracy anyway. He's working with the highest and the sheriff, so of course they might try to meet on the slick tip, which is why the FBI lady put a tail on Mac to make sure he didn't go warn the Rakadushi or meet up with the sheriff to talk it over or whatever they got going on. All right, moving right along. And the highest runs into Elder Mother, and he asks her, like, we've been looking for you. Where you been at? And she tells him, like, listen, I'm working on a special project, Miss Lacey, remember? And as far as getting her knocked up. And he's like, listen, I have a change of plans. I want you to use men that haven't been enlightened, a.k.a. screwed by the highest. She cannot bring my seed forward. So let me just give y'all a little bit. If you're not watching the show and you're only looking at the reviews, I'm going to tell you what it means to be enlightened. When you're enlightened by the highest, that means that you have proved yourself worthy and loyal enough to the Rakadushi to be entered by the highest and given his seed. God, okay. And this is only for the males, right? It's only for the males. And so once that has happened, you've been enlightened and you can now see the light. You've been enlightened. And first, Elder Mother wanted to, bear children for the highest by way of letting Lacey do it against her will, basically. All right. And it's like, no, I don't want my child coming through her. She's a deserter. She's not worthy of anything. So we're going to do it to the unenlightened men. So all the other men that have not been enlightened by me, which is more than those that are enlightened, let them go in there and do their business. And make sure that it's not nice. Make sure that it's not enjoyable. Very much cruel and unusual punishment, But she's gonna have to figure out a way to tough it out. But we're gonna get into that once we get into a conversation that Ruth has a little later on in the episode. Ruth is serving lunch with the girl that she caught in the shed with Brother Lewis, I think his name is. And she's like, listen, so she gave her a task and, hey, you need to find out where the kids are before dinner time, or I'm gonna tell the highest what I saw. Basically, she was supposed to go find some information, but before she does, Mr. Lewis comes up in the line. She tells him, like this, I've decided not to snitch on you. Um, that conversation is over. Now Joan walks up. Like, it's a whole lot of conversations amongst a group of people. Kind of, in the little whisper fashion, but it's still a whole lot of conversation. Then Joan walks up and wants to know what the exchange was about. And Ruth's like, it's nothing. And she was like, listen, if you're holding out on me, I'm gonna hold out on you. And so now she has to give her a partial truth, a partial story, because she didn't want to know. So what I feel like in this instance is Ruth is working on another plan. Like, she got multiple hands in multiple pots. In the event that what she has going on with River and Joan doesn't work out, she has a alternate plan with Lewis and his gang of idiots, right? Either way, she's getting her daughter and she's getting out of here. So if one mission fails, she has another one in operation. And that is what makes Ruth the HBIC, because she knows, like, okay, these plans fall apart all the time. And this is a one-shot deal. I'm not trying to take forever to get up out of here. It's time to go. So, if your plan works, your plan works, your plan works. Either way, I'm finna go. And I say that because she does not mention River and Joan and Lacey and Zane or any of the other people when she talks to Lewis later on in the episode. We'll get to that by the time we get to the end of the episode. But that tells me, like, she has a plan with just them that she doesn't want the other gang of idiots to be in on. Right? Okay. All right. So she tells him, she tells Joan, what does she tell her? She tells her, like, some kind of partial story, like, hey, I caught him coming on to her, and I had to, threaten to tell the highest, but I didn't. But, basically some of the truth, but not the whole story of everything she has going on. Got it. And then Joan decides to give her some information. Tells, like, hey, I asked the mother about where the children are, but she doesn't know either, which leads them to know that, hey, that means that the highest himself is the only person that knows where these kids are. So it's going to be much more difficult to find out where they are because he has not said anything to anybody. But by the end of this episode, we'll have some insight again from Lewis. Lewis is proven to be much more meaningful to Ruth's plan than River and Joan them, low key, high key. But we'll get into that when we get to that part of the episode. All right. So the highest goes in to check on Malcolm from the high dosage of drugs that he gave him to see either you dead and I don't need to take that much, or you're alive and I'm going to be good and this is a clean batch and I can go and do what I need to do. He ain't dead yet, but he is high out of his mind. The highest asked him, like, how was your trip? Like, how did the drugs make you feel, essentially? And it's like, listen, it was a great trip. Where you get that stuff from? And he's so out of his mind, he don't realize he is strapped to an electric chair in the middle of Bumble, wherever he at. But this is where we at. He tells Malcolm, like, listen, I am your God. Like, I can make you happy. I can make you sad. I can make you talk. Like, I have full control over you. I have the one, piece of mechanism that can make you feel good, and it's the drugs, and I have it. So you need to realize that that's who I am to you now. And then he asked him, like, hey, you need to give me all the information that the FBI has on us. And I mean every sticking detail. Don't hold out. And Malcolm, in true dumbass fashion, decides that he has a leg to stand on as far as trying to negotiate the information and threatens to withhold it. And the highest decides, I'm going to go ahead and electrocute you right quick and remind you that you ain't as free as your mind is right now. So that is what happens. All right. Ruth is talking to the girl from the shed. I don't know her name. And she wants to know how she meets up with Brother Lewis. And she leaves. She tells her, like, listen, I leave a note under the cup. And we meet up in the old abandoned car that has newspaper all over the windows. Nobody sees us. We got a system. And then she was like, why do you want that information? Do you plan on sleeping with Lewis? And Ruth is just, she scoffs at the absolute thought of you thinking that I would want to sleep with Lewis. Girl, I am to be the highest's wife, which she don't believe in that, but we're going to use that as the tactic. I'm about to be the highest's wife. There's nothing that I want from Lewis. And also, this ain't the place for you to be jealous, because y'all not even supposed to be together in here. So you can't be jealous. So you get it together. Essentially, Ruth is telling, like, girl, this ain't it. You need to pull it together. All right. Zane and Elder Mother are making dinner, and she is, putting her little concoction in there, showing Zane what to do to make the heist's dinner, and she's bragging about punishing Lacey. And so Zane plays ignorant, like, hey, she's alive? Like, I thought she died. And the other one's like, no, she's not alive. The deserter's in there, and I'm going to punish her. And then she also tells Zane about her plans to have the men come in and seed her. And she's going to Zane has been entrusted to be her helper for tonight. And that puts Zane into position because that's Zane's friend, and she doesn't, want her hurt. And so now she has to stand there and potentially watch all this stuff happen, in punishment. She also almost got caught up because she, played the I'm excited to punish people game. And Elder Mother's like, oh, you really want to stump out? Like, you really want to do it? We'll see what we can do tonight. Like, almost basically like, hey, if you want to do the punishment, I might let you do it. But it may or may not be under the guise of Elder Mother standing right there, which means you would actually have to do it. Which means that you've oversold the crazy card. So just dial it back a little bit. Just bring it in a little bit and just calm down. All right. Lewis and the other brother, George, Lewis and George are talking. George is the one that got whipped on the back a couple episodes ago. George and Lewis are talking, and he had to tell him like what he had to give up to Ruth was because he did tell Ruth about the plan when she caught him in the shed. About the plan, but not the name, not any details about wanting to leave or whatever. And they're not really sure at this point if they can trust her to bring her into their plan. They're thinking like, hey, she's going to be the heist's wife. Like, she ain't with our shit. She going to tell on us. We got to lay low. And, whatever, they end that conversation. And then Mr. Chop Meat, I forgot his name. But whoever the dude, I'm calling Chop Meat for now. But whoever Zane cut that was assaulting her, he comes limping up. And he wants to join them. He wants to be back in on the plan. Why? Because River has told him exactly what it means to be enlightened. And he not with the shit. He don't want to do it. He don't want to do it. And he admits that they were right about what it is to be enlightened. He was confused, and now he's back on track. And George tells him, like, yeah, you're confused, but you're also very easily confused, which could prove to be a problem for a plan that you think we have that does not exist. So ain't no plan. We ain't got no plan because they never told him what the actual plan was. So they're like, ain't no plan. I'm good. And so, he walks off and Lewis tells him like, hey, just give it a minute. Like, give him some time to calm down to see if you're going to be back in, basically. For me, you're out. Because first of all, you're a rapey. You're a rapey. You're a little easily confused. You sold out to the Rocco at one point. You was getting very much sold out when you thought you were being punished. And for you to think that punishment is going to come back to you could put you in a space where you're going to compromise what we finna do. So, I'm good, love. I'm good. And I'm good, love. Enjoy. All right. So, Elder Mother comes to where the men are eating, and she just comes to and she's like, hey, if you're a blue card holder, and I'm presuming blue card holders to be those men that have not been enlightened by the heist. If you're a blue card holder, hold your lights up. Hold your card up. They hold the blue cards up. And she says, hey, meet me in the classroom after lunch. So the plan, the punishment, whatever it is that she plans on doing with Lacey is going to happen now, like today, like right now. And, which sucks because immediately Zane tells Ruth and Joan about the plan also that Elder Mother has for Lacey. And now Zane has the job of convincing Lacey like, hey, you need to push through because Lacey knows information about their plan. And so if things get too rough, get too much, in that she may be willing to exchange that information for some kind of reprieve, for some relief. Because like she told Elder Mother, Lacey tells Elder Mother, like, girl, I'm still healing. I'm not ready. Like, I don't want nobody laying on my chest. And she's like, Elder Mother, of course, being the witch she is, she's like, listen, you've been shot up top. Your bottom is just fine. You'll be all right. You're going to be fine. And so now, they have to deal with trying to keep her quiet, trying to keep her in good spirits and all that so they can figure out the escape plan. All right. There are two sniper type dudes in the woods, which I presume to be with the FBI, and they have Andrew in their crosshairs. And he essentially runs into them and he's trying to convince them like, hey, I'm FBI. I'm legit. I'm still undercover. And in order for my cover to not be blown, like I need to get back into this compound. And they're not buying it. They're like, listen, put your hands on your back. Come on, go to us. Now, he got to fight him. So now they kung fu fighting in the middle of the woods. And I was thinking, my boy Andrew was going to be able to get away. Because I don't know when to root for Andrew and when not to. And I don't know if he's that good of an actor or if he's that, I don't know. He may legit be crazy. I don't know. But I was kind of rooting for him to get back, because if he don't get back, then the kids are going to die. And we know the kids are coming back later that night. And the FBI is headed that way. So there's a lot of people that could die tonight. So, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I didn't know if I should be rooting for him, but I was. But I really was. Anyway, he's trying to fight them off, but they get the upper hand of him. And now they have put the handcuffs on Andrew. And so we'll see what develops with that in a few days, I'm sure. All right. Ruth and Lewis are in the old car. And he tells her, like, listen, he has $300,000 in his trailer. We need to find it. We plan to take him hostage. Whatever. Tells her the whole plan, which they think is 300,000. River and Joan probably have a more accurate number, closer to 3 million. Yeah, but I think the 300,000 was from one of the earlier runs to the bank, if I'm not mistaken. So that may be the only money that they know about. Anyway, Ruth is like, hey, I'll help y'all with y'all plan, but I got to get 50,000 and my daughter. And we can make that a plan, but she needs to hear. That's when they tell her the whole plan, and she's scoffing at them, like, she's laughing, like, so you really think you and George can pull off that? That's dumb. Like, y'all need more men, and if it's gonna be done, it needs to be done my way. Like, I know what I'm doing. Both of them are kind of street people, so they know how to kind of think on their feet and navigate situations. She's telling them, like, listen, they need more guys. If you want old girl to get more girls, y'all need more people in order for this plan to go off. And then she was like, listen, I can move the money, but y'all have to take me hostage. Put me in a separate car from the Heights, get us outside of the gates, and then I'll just drop the money, your portion of the money off, and then your men have to come back and get it. And then he goes on, and then he's like, okay, cool, it's much better thought out plan than ours. So sounds like a deal. And then he tells her, like, hey, the kids will be back tonight. Now he doesn't exactly know where they were, but he knows that they're coming back tonight. And so, that gives her a little bit of relief, like, hey, the kids are coming back, which means my kids should be back. Nobody really knows where they are. They just knows that they're left with a couple of the elder mothers, and now they are coming back. Let's just presume that the kids have been gone a couple days. But I also remember hearing in another episode that he had them training to be drug mules. So hopefully they aren't fulfilling that mission just yet, as far as the kids are related. Either way, Lewis and George, like I said earlier, they are proving to be assets to Ruth. They have a system, like, and even on the walkie-talkie, Lewis gets on the walkie-talkie and gives a secret code, because we know that everybody, all the men, the brothers or guardsmen or whatever they are, they have walkie-talkies. And so he gets on the walkie-talkie, he says some kind of code, Copacabana. I don't know what he said. I don't remember. Either way, he says the code, and George is like, all clear. His response to the code, and that lets him know, like, hey, you can come out of wherever you are because your area is clear. Again, proving to be better assets, because Ruth her strength is talking out of situations. Lewis is good at not even getting into situations to begin with. You see what I'm saying? Even though you got caught in the shed, you got slipped up. It was Ruth. Nobody else caught you. You haven't been caught thus far. Slick, no slick. A can of oil knows a can of oil. If you're picking up what they are, like-minded individuals. So, proving to be a better asset to them, could prove to be a better plan than Joan and River. Hell, Ruth might double cross all of them, take her 300,000 and her 3 million and her daughter, and be done. We don't really know, but we'll see. All right, there's a kid at the gate, and he gets over the walkie-talkie. He says, hey, government's coming. There's 4 cars coming down. He didn't put out the APB to the people inside the camp. Meanwhile, the Heights is still lighting Malcolm's ass up, electrocuting him. Now he wants to talk, and he tells them that they've been investigating him for 4 years, and the only reason that they got on their trails is that the parents of some of the younger kids, like the 18, 17-year-olds, their parents were saying that their kids came there and they never came home, and tells them, like, hey, I can get you names of the parents if I can get to a computer. And the Heights is like, listen, if I get you access to a computer and you double cross me, you know what's going to happen. He's like, no, listen, I'm going to get you what you want. Wonderful. Great. I don't know why anybody trusts anything that Malcolm has to say at this point, but we're going to go with it. All right, so Daikon goes to get him expeditiously. He is like, hey, you need to come outside. The Heights, telling us to the Heights, you need to come on, go outside. it's a situation going on. It tells them that there's 4 FBI cars coming their way. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? What do you want us to do next? He tells them, listen, we got to prepare for war. So now they got to get into their sections, get their Kool-Aid ready, get prepared to do what they have to do, because there are 4 carloads of FBI agents headed that way. Which proves exactly what the sheriff has said. You're going to have a bunch of bodies on your hand because you're trying to go in there like Rambo when you should not be doing that. You got to figure out another way to get in there. But this is now where we are. But we'll see what happens next week as far as that is concerned, because we have had some false starts as far as it relates to the FBI coming in, doing all that stuff. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Hopefully we don't get to that part. Anyway, that has been season 6, episode 3 of... No, it is not. What? Sorry. That has been season 4, episode 10 of Ruthless. Let me know what you think about the episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.